everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. And today, gonna do something a bit different. We have Charloco here joining us again,
Hey, everybody.
and we're going to start doing some watch-alongs from the best 9.99 in the business. And no, I'm not talking about the WWE Network. I am talking about the High Spots Network. And we're not sponsored by High Spots, but I spend enough money there that maybe, maybe if they could kick me a $5 gift card or something, that'd be sweet. If anybody from
I'm
High
sure
Spots
we
hears
are
this,
putting I'm sure we're putting some of their kids through college right now.
I'm sure we are. Yes. Um, but if you don't aware of the High Spots Network, it is for $9.99 a month. You get several different independent promotions, classic content from them. They have Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, IWA Mid South, Combat Zone Wrestling, or the Premier Wrestling Experience out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that we're looking at today. And
This
go
is
ahead.
different. Oh, this is I don't want to say different, but not from. This is not currently run by the people that currently run PWX. I think it's just kind of had the same name, but just different owners over the years. I
Right.
think this is like the previous era. Uh, but yeah, one of the beauties I think about the High Spot Network is with the indie stuff, you can get some combinations of some rare and weird gems. I feel
Oh, yeah.
like I think I was up at like 3 a.m. one night going through like 90s knockoff ECW, like just promotions in the 90s that just saw what ECW was doing and I'm not talking like XPW or P or anything like that, just weird stuff or just like how did this get here?
And they actually have continuing to do free shilling for High Spots in addition to the God knows how much money that we spend on their website on a weekly basis. They also have lots and lots of documentaries that either they have produced themselves or they have the shoot interviews that they themselves have produced, in addition to the controversial figure, but I'm just stating facts here, the RF shoot interviews,
Yes.
which all of that is worth $9.99 a month alone to me. But yeah,
And
definitely.
hey, at least you're giving, if you're watching our RF video on there, at least you're giving that money to High Spots to watch and not somebody else.
Yeah, maybe I won't talk about where my money to meet Shawn Michaels went, because I still enjoy sleeping at night and looking myself in the mirror. So, and the guy actually was not a bad guy, which made me feel really, really awkward.
No, I've had to do that for multiple conventions where I'm just like, all right, this is just what it is.
I'll regret it. I hate.
Yeah.
This guy's a douche.
Or
But he's
at
booked
one
my
of these
favorite wrestler.
at one of these conventions, like when I was in line for Dusty Rhodes, like Flair came in like to like catch up with Dusty, like so like he just got up from the chair and they started talking, and
I'm
I got
choking.
this.
Oh, excuse me.
Don't worry, you're just fine. It's fine.
All right, you're good.
All right. But yeah, no, like I got a really nice photo of these two just interacting with each other, and then I go back to look at it, and just like in the middle of their hug, just from the distance, you see him, and it's just like, this wonderful photo's ruined because he's just in the middle of it. And I'm
And like I
okay,
said, I mean, I'm not. We're not going to get into the controversy. It's a happy show, but it's like,
yeah,
he was also like really easy going to deal with. There's so many guys that book this shit and they're like terrible to deal with at conventions. And it's like, on top of that, like, he's easy going to deal with. It's like, oh, if you only you weren't like a scumbag. If only you weren't a scumbag, I'd actually consider you a really cool person then. All right, so
speaking of scumbag, we got one of the biggest ones in terms of wrestling and scumbaggery, headlining this particular show.
Yes, so the show we picked out, find PWX on the High Spots Network, all the bullets aside, and we are watching just a show entitled PWX Charlotte, North Carolina 12/6/08. That's it. We're not having, it doesn't have other shows have fancy names. This is not one of them.
with the names, with the stars in the headlining match, you think they would have some big name.
Yeah,
Again, this may not even been promoted as PWX. This may have been just promoted as a high spots show they were putting on as kind of a one off.
right.
And I mean, they maybe just labeled it PWX like
Upon
on here.
retrospect.
Yeah, just on this for this listing here. But yeah, you think in the headline they would put like PWX Charlotte, or at least like PWX, and then like, just naming who's on the show. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, well, this was your idea. I'll let you take the lead and explain a little bit because you've been to PWX shows. I have not.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well,
so so
this PWX today is a little bit different. They were they were really hot in, I'd say, 2014 through about, or I'd say 2012, 2013 to about I'd say 2017. That was probably their hot point. Because at the time they were bringing in a lot of Ring of Honor guys.
right.
Uh, they had what was it, Eddie Edwards, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole do their Dojo Bros gimmick that I think they were doing at PWG at the time. Uh,
Okay.
and they were bringing in a bunch of regular, or a lot of Ring of Honor regulars on a consistent basis. This is also where both Cedric Alexander and Tessa Blanchard really got their start, and got really hot. Uh, and I'd say that they've kind of tapered off since uh, probably around the time they got signed to various places. Uh,
Right.
you also have let's see, Hangman Page also had a lot like start here, and I would say they went from being the Ring of Honor, like the guys that brought in Ring of Honor, then they spent a while trying to be PWG of the South, uh, to the varying results, just because PWG is its own entity, and I feel like they can pull off doing certain things
Right.
and charging certain prices and stuff like that. Uh, but they're still kicking. They're still a good promotion. Uh, but even before all that, this was under a different owner. Back in 2008, this was during the time where Ric Flair had just retired and then got out of the rest of his WWE contract, and then he did a deal with High Spots that eventually went terrible. You
That's
can
their story to tell, not mine or
there's
not
their story.
ours.
But I guess part of the deal was doing a lot of shows, like running indie shows and having Flair there to do meet and greets and come out and do like a quick promo, and then go to the back and not watch any of the matches.
Yeah.
But one of these featured the debut of Reed Flair, who was training at the time under George South, and I guess to make for his debut match, they wanted to make a big deal out of it. So they decided to make the headlining match for this particular show. Reed, in his debut, teaming with his brother David, with Ric Flair in their corner against the Nasty Boys and Jimmy Hart. That was the match announced, and then just out of nowhere, a few weeks before the show went on, they decided, "Hey guys, guess what? We got a special referee, Hulk Hogan." We don't know how this happened. I don't really think much money was involved from the sources I've heard. The closest I can think of is that I think this was setting up something involving the reality show at the time. Like, not sure if Rick was looking at getting one or getting him involved in
Right.
like Hogan's VH1 shows and it never really came to be. But this is like a one-off because, to my knowledge, I think Hogan has only done like two specific like indie appearances,
Right.
like not like convention, like showing up at a convention somewhere, but like hot dog and a handshake, profile indies like this one. And then he did was it Northeast Wrestling, that was like part of their Under the Stars tour. uh I think that's what the ones that
Maybe.
do.
I
Yeah, the
know he.
ones
I know he did his own thing like that summer where Flair broke his retirement, but that's
oh yeah, that is through the Australia tour.
yeah.
uh but like in terms of like an indie promote, like I think only like two indie promoters have somehow brought Hogan in, and this is one of them. In a very surreal show, if you ever wanted to watch Hulk Hogan involved in a high school gymnasium indie show.
Well, you can watch. Hulk Hogan involved in this, and we're gonna watch. Excuse me.
with
That's my
all
protein shake.
with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and the elite of the Charlotte 2008 indie scene,
Yes.
which wasn't quite what it would eventually become, but I'm sure we'll find some interesting standouts.
Right. So if you want to watch along with us, go find this event. We'll give you a second to find it. Start it up. You should be looking at a two wrestlers and a referee in the middle of a ring. There was no fancy. There was no title screen to this. There was nothing else.
Like you saw a photo of Hulk Hogan. I think that's like in the referee shirt. That's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. There is no like, not even a PWX logo. Nada. And
I feel like is something weird going to happen in the show? Is there something that they're embarrassed by?
well, this is my first time watching it, and you said this is yours as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we were inspired to watch this because, well, we'll get to it in the main event. But yeah, if you want to follow along with us, go ahead and press play now. And I don't even know who. That's George South.
Yes. In the ring, we have Mr. Number One, George South. And Indy, let's see if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is Charlie Dreamer, his opponent. Oh, yes.
Wait, whoa. Okay, you can't see the stunned look on my face. Charlie Dreamer. Are you serious?
Yes, that was his name. I believe he was a George South student.
Okay, I mean, good for him. I mean, I'm not trying to. Obviously that guy's a wrestler and I am not, so therefore I am not gonna like bash him too much.
He's a solid guy. Also, I feel like we're gonna be drowned out by George South's yelling during this match.
Yeah, I could just,
I'll say Charlie Dreamer. I don't know if he's still around. Because I remember going to a show in Clayton, North Carolina. He was on, and just out of nowhere, he announced his retirement. I think he said he was like moving to Georgia or something like that. I could be wrong. But, everyone was like, okay, giving him a nice applause. And then he had there was this one 15-year-old, I'm assuming teenage girl that was just bawling. I believe if you told, she was reacting as if you told her One Direction split up. Granted, I know that's a 10-year-old reference now.
right.
But that kind of tween girl heartbreak. And I'm just I don't know what's going on here, but just the image of this girl crying.
Someone loved Charlie Dreamer, man.
Yeah. But yes,
I mean, he's got some nice hair. I'll give him that. Maybe.
Yeah, kind of an early Heath Slater look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we have George South here as a heel, despite having John 3:16 on his trunks.
Well, depending on your audience, that may make him the ultimate heel.
I'm gonna give
to CM Punk and Jim Cornette. Then George South is the worst person in the world.
That's it.
Well, he can still
I like making
for an old
jokes,
guy.
but let me just say it now, just for those listening. George South is great. I am a huge fan of his. He is someone really worth watching live because I assure you, before this tape came on, he would more likely did a 10, 15-minute promo against the audience, just insulting each and every one of them, person to person.
That kind of you mentioned that. And this is the tangents, but that's what we're about right here. You mentioned he did a promo like that earlier this year. This year in terms of 2008, not this year. This year was also the first time I ever got to see Tracy Smothers live, and it was just so pretty much his. He had a smart audience in that crowd, and he did not do anything racist or ethnically questionable or even crossing any lines of touching or tearing up signs or anything of that nature. Yet by the end of this match we're watching with Tracy Smothers, some of the smartest fans in the world wanted to destroy him. I know, and here's the tangent was like, because the match just kept going on. And like we weren't leaving, but the match just kept going on. And just like when we think the match would end, he would somehow get up and go, "Who sucks now?" And we'd be, "Shut up and lay down for the love of God." We have been here for 4 hours and we want to go home. But some other, to kind of give more tangents to that story, as we see, old Charlie Dreamer ain't too bad.
Yeah, he was pretty solid.
That same show, there was no ring crew, so Jedi and I, as you from the show, you'll know Jedi. We were recruited to help set up the ring for the first time, and for the first 30 minutes of doing it, we had smiles on our faces, like this is fun. But no one knew how to set up a ring, and the guy running the ring, quote unquote, ring crew didn't know how to set up a ring either. So we didn't know what we were doing, and then fans started coming in, and like they started getting more restless, and we're in there trying to set up the ring, not knowing how to do it. And crowd's getting angry. The promoter looks like he's panicking and saying, "Guys, we're sorry about this." And then like immediately it went from like this is fun to like, "Oh shit, this is work," and I feel bad. Like I feel like I'm doing
I'm picturing the SpongeBob meme where it's like Patrick sitting down, she's like trying to look at instructions for something, and he has like a board like a staple to his head.
Kind of similar. One of the people running it was that Pee Wee Moore from ECW.
Oh yeah.
And then we had like two guys, like two wrestlers tried to help, and they're both like older guys, and one of them was like a jerk. And then one guy like, because at the end I'm like apologizing to these wrestlers, like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to doing this guy. I can't remember his name, but he was actually really cool." He's like, "Brother, I've been wrestling 15 years and I barely know how to set up a ring. You ain't got to apologize to me." And Jedi also won. Sabu was on that show. I caught him smoking weed backstage. To the surprise of no one, Sabu was smoking weed.
I remember I was at a show once, and Necro Butcher was on the card, and just during intermission, he was just blatantly asking like the crowd, anyone in the crowd, like, or people coming up to the table, it's just if they had a hookup.
I got in there. There's using the iron claws, George South right now to show we're not just tangent, we're actually watching. Just fucking stuck his tongue out at the crowd.
Oh.
He just stuck his tongue out. I fucking love this guy.
No, yes, 5 stars, George South. One time, he was doing, he had a claw on some guy, and like me and like the rest of my friends were like intentionally antagonizing George South, like pissing him off, trying to get heat, or getting him all heated up. And at one point, he had the claw on somebody, and me and my friends just started chanting, "Please don't tap, please don't tap." He just looked right at us, and it was like, "You don't tap out at a claw, you idiots."
That's gold. I must see George South in person. Like that is my new goal, Screw getting to see Wrestle Kingdom in person. Screw fucking WrestleMania. Screw Ebola. Not Ebola, Battle of Los Angeles, but screw Ebola too. Fuck that. We don't need that back with the fucking Rona out there. But my new goal is I need to see an in-person George South match. Like that is the most. That's it. That is the goal. That's the goal now.
I mean, I think he's at WrestleCon every year. Just like message Michael and just be like, get him on one of your 20 shows at WrestleCon,
please. Oh, but before I forget the story, Sabu was on that show. They raffled off a pair of his pants, and Jedi won his pants.
Oh, nice. Got into Sabu's pants.
He got into Sabu's pants, and
great camera work there.
Yes. At the time, we were backyard wrestling, so he backyard wrestled in Sabu's pants. He just doing the fucking little dance. He just did it.
I want to say that's a Wahoo McDaniel thing, but admittedly, I'm not too familiar.
I do not think that George South is Native American.
Because I should probably add this to him. He was also a enhancement talent in like the early Crockett days. You can if on the WWE Network, you can find him on a lot of the World Championship Wrestling cards, including he did go. I want to say like 20 minutes with Ric Flair on TV once, which is kind of his like main claim to fame.
You know, we're on tangents and we're kind of laughing at George South's antics, but real talk, this is not a terrible match by any stretch of the imagination. It's a little slow and methodical that some of your newer fans that I'm not trying to stereotype any fans by any stretch of imagination, but some of your newer fans that are a little more accustomed to a Japanese strong style or kind of the Young Bucks, they maybe would have a harder time getting into this. Not
and
being
remember,
at the arena.
This is 2008. The indie boom hadn't really happened yet. Like Cedric Alexander.
Well, yes, it's interesting to say that the indie boom, the big indie boom, didn't happen.
Okay, Ring of Honor's hot and PWG's hot, so like every promotion trying to do that kind of style.
Right. I kind of feel like there was kind of sort of like in like the mid 2000s, kind of that independent boom because
like you saw those indies like that, but I felt like those were still like the exception to like your normal indie where it'd be more like this style.
Yeah, you had your Ring of Honors, your PWGs, and then to a lesser extent, or maybe like a little bit more hit and miss, you had your IWA Mid-Souths and your CZWs with the best of the best and the Ted Petty Invitationals and more of the niche of the niche of the niche was Chikara at that time, but he just
airplane.
Oh, he got out of it. Oh, got out of it. Going for a claw again.
I will say.
I was going to say, was he going for the claw or was he getting more? Was he getting some more heel heat with an atheist audience by pointing up to Jesus for that?
Yeah. I will say, I think this is the same George South wrestled. I want to say Man Scout on the same show with the Charlie Dreamer crying retirement girl. And
you realize we gotta watch this one now.
Yes, George South is like he's doing the whole antagonizing the crowd bit, and he's like attacking one heavier set woman throughout the whole match, like constantly saying things to her. She's getting mad. She's like getting to the apron, yelling right at him. And some of the best heel work I've ever seen. George South gets this woman so mad. She storms to George South's gimmick table, buys a George South promo picture, comes back to the ring, or like comes back to the apron, and like rips it up in front of him. So basically, he got her so mad that she paid him money to buy an 8x10 to rip up.
That's awesome. I don't want to just have PWX shows because there's so many other great shows on.
I mean, I don't think that show's on here. I don't think.
Oh, it's not. Damn it!
No, this was a different promotion.
Well, we might need to find that in some way, shape, or form. Kind of got the camera like tilted like it was 66
the Dutch
Batman.
angle lens.
Yeah. You're a theater kid, so you might know a few more. But I was gonna say it looked like Batman, 60s Batman there.
Oh, you said theater kid. I was gonna say Battlefield Earth for that angle.
Fair enough. I'll tell you when they look at the camera from the hard side, it looks significantly more aesthetically pleasing to the eye than here, where it looks like a high school gym. Like when it's from the hard side, it looks
where you
like
get like the full bleacher.
Yeah, like just the lighting looks like okay. I can tell this isn't fucking this isn't the Superdome or the Tokyo Dome or anything of that nature, but it looks like it's kind of like a respectable arena.
It looks like a sold-out crowd that has Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair on.
Yeah. The other side of it where you can kind of see the lighting different and you can tell that this is a basketball court.
Yeah. They're more likely this is a student recording. This may be Cedric Alexander recording it, honestly.
Now, is Man Scout on this show?
Yes, he's actually in the semi-main event.
Okay, sweet.
Yes, against the short-lived career of Ricky Steamboat's son.
Ooh, I've always heard good things about Richie, and it was kind of like unfortunate end to his career. So
Yeah.
definitely excited to see a Richie Steamboat match for the first
Yeah,
time.
and apparently this is a I haven't seen it, but apparently this is a match George or Jake is really proud of. This was kind of like his like match he would show to like promoters for like many years afterwards.
So for all the other High Spots fans out there, we may just have to do a watch along with the Man Scout DVD and just like that take over the rest of the
I've
year.
thought about it. It's 6 discs, but I thought about like if we just like compiled like like some of the most unusual matches on there.
Right. Have to figure out a good way for people to watch along with us. I mean,
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
easily watch. Hey, go to the High Spots virtual gimmick table and say you want a Jake Manning DVD. They will oblige you.
I will say one idea for a possible follow up is that in 2009, I want to say like a week after WrestleMania 25,
There's a guy waving to another guy who's trying to get his attention.
he's like,
Apparently,
"Hey,
it's
I'm really,"
thumbs up. It's okay now.
but they try to like follow up on this, like follow up the success of this show with a show involving Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper,
Okay.
and that show did not do as well because like apparently like they brought that one into a bigger arena, and I guess they thought that one would do even better with the hype. But apparently that one like did not draw at all.
Doing jumping jacks.
Oh god.
I fucking love George South now. I fucking love George South.
Yes. But yeah, the Flair Piper show did not draw at all because I guess apparently it was like a police raffle where like or a police like charity thing where they would sell all the tickets, and instead of selling the tickets they just kind of gave them to friends.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like you had like the two biggest names of all time after being involved in a show with Mickey Rourke and Ric Flair and Jericho and all those guys, and then it's like 100, 200 people.
You mentioned that's kind of funny that there's been yeah. All right, go Charlie, Charlie Dreamer. Fuck yeah, man.
Somewhere a 15-year-old girl is really happy.
That's what you get for sticking your tongue out at the crowd. Where is your gun?
As I say,
Where's your gun now, George South?
Sweet child of mine starts playing.
I shouldn't have said that because that's actually something that means something to George South. I apologize.
Oh, that's a pretty good shot of the like. You can see how.
That side looks good.
Yeah.
I have a feeling
we got angles for it. Oh no, entrances. Okay.
Entrances. I don't feel like we're gonna have a name graphic here, so I really hope you can tell me who this is because there is no commentary on this show.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Let's see. Who do we got here? This is Joey Sylvia, I think.
Okay.
He's someone I kind of like.
Break it up just a little bit.
Actually, let me double check. This may be the opponent, actually.
Okay. Is he opponent like Homer Simpson, like had on his robe, or?
Oh yeah, no, this is Joey Sylvia. Yeah.
Okay. He looks like he's your typical. I'm a douchebag indie heel. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like you need that. Like that's good, but
he does have that early OVW look.
The early OVW, he's got like the kind of the AJ haircut with the tattoos. You know.
Yeah.
The early AJ haircut, he's kind of. I mean, is that who I think it is? Is that Caleb Conley?
Yes.
All right, so my first exposure to Caleb Conley was actually in Ring of Honor. The first Caleb Conley match I ever saw was on, and I can't remember the show specifically. It was a show from 2011, I want to say. Yeah, it was 2011 because I remember Carino came back in 2010 and was doing the heel thing with Steen, and then he tried to become good and then went bad again, and it was kind of Jim Cornette oblivion there. But anyway,
Actually, I kind of like that angle, like, or at least the Corino aspect of it.
I like that part, but it's just kind of like, well, why did he turn bad again?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, it's like, why was he should have been the one leading the charge against Scum, not fucking joining it
Yeah,
again. I mean, if I
yeah.
didn't know any better, I'd say Vince Russo was booking it. And I really hope Jim Cornette takes that fucking personally.
Goddamn motherfucker!
God damn, this stupid motherfucking piece of shit probably likes that fucking piece of shit Kenny Omega. Any hoozles. But he read like it was like him trying to make good and to mentor the young guys, and one of the guys is Caleb Conley, and I'm like, okay, this guy's kind of cool, like little old school guy, you know, for Ring of Honor, but it was the corny and delirious angle, aka I'm delirious in name only. He has no balls and lets anybody with some TV experience book over him. And again, here's me
Well,
with
that's
some
what I say.
fucking hot takes right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say no balls. I'd say no vision, like, or create like. Can anybody name any delirious booking patterns? I guess that's the best way to put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Like,
good because he lets somebody
yeah.
who has some TV experience go, you know what, motherfucker, this is what we gotta do. We can't be having any of this fucking goddamn flippy bullshit. We can't be having any of this fucking strong style Japanese bullshit. What we need to have, we need to fucking waste all our money, bring in an out-of-shape Matt Hardy, and put the rocket ship on fucking Mike Bennett, motherfucker. And they're all like, you're right. Or now, in the case of what it was in 2019 with Ring of Honor, it was, you know, listen to me. Don't be caved into the smart marks. What you gotta do is you gotta book it like this, man. Cause the smart marks ain't gonna get you no money. Matt Taven is your guy.
God. Oh my God! It's like I just realized now that they're both available. I don't know why I want this. Maybe this is like Uncanny Valley, but I want
Ooh, good drop
Matt
from Caleb.
Taven. I want Matt Taven versus Mike Bennett in like a Ring of Honor like WrestleMania weekend main event. Like the match nobody would ever want.
I actually do have a funny story about Mike Bennett since fuck it. And this is a good match. I'm not trying to take anything away from this match. Caleb, I will say Caleb is a very underrated wrestler, and Caleb deserves more opportunities. I'm not saying that he you know dislikes his spot in the Charlotte indie scene, but
I mean, as someone that knows a lot of these guys, ooh,
that is a bad back bump there. Oh my god,
that is not worth a hot dog and a handshake.
Yeah, I know. But he's trying to pay his dues, and so props to him, man. That was damn.
I mean, I don't think he's around anymore, but
still, wherever you are, man, thank you for that. Like that was some hard work there.
But as someone that knows a lot of these guys, like professionally or just like as acquaintances or just someone that's has watched them around for the better part of 10 years, I'll say a lot of these guys on this card do deserve better.
Right.
So whatever jokes we make, just know I like fully support, like 100% support a lot of these guys on here.
Absolutely. But back to Mike Bennett. He was, because they're really using him a lot in the 2011 Cornette era Ring of Honor, and I'm here like, I'm kind of one of those fans, and we can debate philosophy from now till the end of time, but I'm like, you know, I'm here seeing like evolve with all these great, at the times 2011, seeing evolve with all these great indie talent. Like there's Gargano and there's Chuck Taylor and Ring of Honor, you know, which is supposed to be the top independent in the world, is bringing in Mike Bennett, and they're pushing him. Yeah. And I like. This was in November of 2011. They had a show in St. Louis, and and Bennett wrestled El Generico. And I remember, like, legitimately, like, I was having my, fuck you, I don't fucking like you, fuck you, Mike Bennett, flipping him off, yelling, fuck you, like, why the just like really harping on him, like, why the fuck do you have a fucking job, you piece of shit? I was drunk, so I really had my filter off, and he had a really good match with Generico.
Nice. Well,
So
admittedly, that's not a hard thing
that's
to
not a hard
do.
thing to do, but I will say, like, as somebody who's a big Generico fan, and obviously by my comments, that's a cool hold from Caleb there.
Nice.
Um, um, as somebody who obviously was not the world's biggest Mike Bennett fan, I will say he did his share to make that match good. So I'm being the dumbass Mark at the end of the show. I'm really wanting to meet Steve Corino. And my friend JC, he used to do, he has a, follow him at the Deluxe Asterisk, you'll see all these art pieces. He used to like draw different wrestlers, and he drew Delirious, and he wanted to catch Delirious to give him this art piece that he made for him. So I see Mike Bennett come out, and like they're all kind of walking by where I am because I'm being a douchebag Mark, and because it's Ring of Honor, there's not like a sea of fucking autograph and picture seekers. There's me, my friend, and maybe one other guy. So, that was cool. Spice, but damn, that was still good execution there. And I'm kind of like getting the wrestlers going by, like, hey guys, did you enjoy the show? Thanks for coming out. And out walks Mike Bennett. And my friends kind of tease me, like, yeah, go shake his hand. I'm like, I am, because I actually said, like, hey, you did a really good job. And, I was telling you, fuck you, and flipping you off. But you did a really good job in that match. And he's like, well, I really appreciate that. And thanks for coming out. And then there was this woman who I didn't know who it was, at the time, going like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, he told you what's up. Not knowing that was Maria.
Ha.
Like, it was... Like I could have got a picture with fucking Maria, who was just, like, not long out of WWE at that time. She hadn't debuted officially with ROH. So, like, I could have got a picture with, like, Maria, but I didn't. And instead did the right thing among a wrestling fan's mind and told Mike Bennett, who I was not a fan of, good job, you did well.
That's great.
So, there you go.
I'm just saying, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Iron Man match, 60 minutes.
60 minutes? There was Aries and Brian went for an hour and a half. We got to get 2 hours out of those guys. You can't have the longest match in Ring of Honor history be to those two losers. Okay, he's been spiked twice at this point. That better have done it. Okay, I'm no Jim Cornette. I'm no Jim Cornette. But I do want to say he's been spiked on his head twice.
Yeah.
And he kicked out twice.
I'm like, part of me is just like, this is like, I don't think he's still around, so I'm like...
And then he just fucking immediately does that!
Second match on the show, takes a backdrop onto the...
Like, I'm not describing their hard work. This is not a bad match. But
Yeah,
this is kind of one of those where, like, if somebody with a little bit more of an old school mentality were to go, I don't like that, it should have ended, this, that, or the other, I would agree with them. Or I would at least see their point.
Yeah.
Like, he's been spiked on his head, and he's immediately, like, running up to the top rope. I can see where, like,
yeah,
somebody who's a little more of the old school mentality is like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Ooh.
What the? Oh, shit. This guy's getting fucked up in this match.
Part of me is like, well, if he retired early, I can kind of see why, if he's taking these bumps.
Match number 2.
Yeah.
And Caleb with a variation on the lion salt, and that's not going to put it away.
And I was like, I don't know. I doubt this is what he's going for, but Caleb's orange gear kind of reminds me of like 95 Kijay Muto.
I was going to say it kind of reminds me, if it had the General Lee thing on the back of it, it would really look to me like ROH era Jeremy Noble.
I can see that too, yeah. That's probably more what he's going for.
Okay. Now, both guys worked hard, and I appreciate both of their
Yeah.
work. I am not a loud Southern atheist with a tennis racket. Let me just say that for the record.
And I'm like, Cornette might be on here just because I know he's in a. The Midnight Express is on here later, so I'm like, who knows? Maybe Cornette was yelling at these guys for some stupid bullshit afterwards.
But I can kind of, even me, who is a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, is a Young Bucks fan, even though they're not my favorites. They're not my hill to die on before anybody kind of, all the old school people come after me. They're not.
This is the Nitro music.
Holy shit, you're right.
What the hell's going on?
Not even gonna high five the guy in the wheelchair. He is a true heel. Oh, he did the kid. He did high five the kid, so.
I'm seeing who I recognize around
All
here.
right, so no entrances for this. So who are these people?
All right, we have. I'm not familiar with Mike Lee, the X-Pac looking motherfucker, but we have Dylan Eaton. This is the son of beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in the same training camp with Reed Flair and Richie Steamboat.
Apparently, the other day is an Asian sensation. So good for him.
It's kind of a shame. None of those three ended up like sticking around in the business.
Well, let's not depress the people.
That's
And
true.
yeah, let's.
I mean, I believe Dylan retired on his own. Like,
Right.
I mean, it was his own choice.
But yeah, kind of going back to the last match, like there was a little too much in that match. Like I'm not trying to be, I'm not saying you need the fucking Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but like maybe after the third time a guy got spiked on his head, maybe that should be the finish. Just maybe. Especially the second match on the card. I mean, I really don't know what to say about this match right now. I mean, we just have this, and now it's like.
Oh, so yeah, the Charlotte or North Carolina indie scene kind of becomes more of what you see in the second match as the years go on, and as like Cedric and Caleb get more like skilled, and then they start bringing in more talent.
So, I mean, you're from the area. For those that are listening that are not from the area, kind of what is the Charlotte indie scene like? Like, if you could compare it to somebody, like the style, because I know if there's even a way to do that.
That's a hard one, I feel like, because, well, it used to be, I'd say, what we're seeing now for, like, this and what we saw in the opening match for, like, many, many years.
Very old school.
Yeah, very old school. It really, like I said, there was that boom if, like, around 2012, 2013 to about a year or two ago, where you saw a lot more of the Ring of Honor, PWG style.
Right. Because I know, like,
you got sound on your end for the match?
I sure don't.
You don't?
I got sound now.
Oh, same. That may have just been the show.
Making sure it wasn't your TV. I get it. And for anybody listening, that's what's going on. It's
It went out again. But no, I'd say, yeah, I'd recommend, admittedly, I haven't watched much the last year or two. I would recommend anything if you have the High Spots Network, anything PWX related from, I'd say from like 2013 to about 2018. Basically, if you see like Cedric or Tessa Blanchard or Caleb Conley or any like Ring of Honor guys on the cover, like
Get it, watch it, love it.
yeah,
It's very, there's so many, there's always kind of that different style, depending on the area for its independent scene, and it's kind of funny, and I've really learned this, through doing these interviews. Um, the Southern Illinois style was very much like your AWA, your IWC, your IWC PAFO, not IWC in Puerto
Yeah.
Rico. For anybody that might be confused, AWA, like, it's very old school, and there'd be like maybe a couple guys that are like, ooh, from that group. And I'm not bashing the town, and I love each and every one of those guys, but it's like there's like kind of that couple guy, a few guys would be like, ooh, this is like a guy I saw in Ring of Honor or TNA, and that was my mentality in 07, 08, 09 when I was watching these shows. And then I would go to like a St. Louis independent show, and like everybody was, they were having brawls and matches like the second one where a bunch of, again, not trying to sound like, a douchebag from Louisville, Kentucky, but, lots of hard, dangerous stuff. And, the match probably went on about 5 minutes longer and had about 4 of those that more than it needed. But I was at the time going like, this is the fucking shit, man. And it's upon retrospect realizing that not all of what I saw in St. Louis was okay, but not all of, going completely old school like I was seeing in Marion, Illinois was okay. And then eventually, if you could like mesh the two together, it would be like the perfect style of wrestling for an
Yeah.
independent group.
A lot of times it's about just knowing your audience. Like outside of Charlotte and Winston-Salem, there's AML wrestling, and that's kind of become the more old school style. Like I believe George South is regularly their champion, which so I personally recommend.
Obviously.
But I feel like they got that style more, the old school style, and it's like the crowd really gets into it. They buy into the heat. I'm not sure if it's like it's still real to me, damn it, but it's like they get passionate about it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's funny you mention that because the AAPW, which has been the bulk of my wrestler interviews, they ran Southern Illinois, and they would sometimes get kind of what would be the hot indie talent from the area. And there was a gentleman by the name, I've mentioned him in a few other podcasts, by the name of Jeremy Wyatt. He wrestled. He's from Kansas City. He wrestled a lot in the St. Louis area, and kind of that. And he was a big name in the revival of the NWA Central States. And he was a heat magnet. And he would, I mentioned how you can say this is good or bad on his part. How Tracy Smith roll up here. That match is over. No offense to the guys, but we weren't really saying much about that match.
Yeah.
But he would get, heat with the smart fans really quickly. But only he wasn't doing it with his work. Like, he was kind of the guy that, went there.
Wait, whose theme is this? Is this Dylan Eaton's theme?
He would hit one of his best zingers, best/worst/ooh zingers was, okay,
Here we go.
Here we go. We got Rock and Roll versus Midnight. So I do not see that.
Fresh off of AEW Dynamite 12 years later.
Okay, I hate to be that guy, but okay, that was kind of a cool kick from Robert there, but they're in better shape now.
Yeah.
Well, definitely going to be paying attention to this. So I'll finish my story. His worst zinger was there was a guy at the St. Louis Anarchy shows. He was a kid. He was a young kid, but it's like he learned the internet, and he learned how to be an internet wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And he was like I could go off and tell stories for days about this kid. He would try and make himself like he'd be loud and obnoxious with like what he knew about wrestling because he thought it made him look cool. And he was they were having a big brawl and some beer spilled and they slipped on the beer. And the whole crowd kind of laughed. He's the only one going, "You fucked up!
Yeah.
You fucked up!" And without hesitation, he looks at the kid and said, "Your dad fucked up not wearing a fucking condom. You're not the night your sorry ass was conceived, you stupid little fuck. Sit down and shut up before I fucking murder you." And like the whole crowd's like, "Well, someone said it. Finally." This kid was obnoxious, but on the flip side, you're like, that kid was 10 years old, and he just got told that he should have, like, fucking been,
Oh,
for
no,
lack
that's
of a better term, a wasted ejaculation.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, Jeremy Wyatt's kind of the guy from my area where I'm like, God, I wish he would have. I mean, he's still wrestling around here, and, he's happy. But he's kind of the guy that I look to him like, God damn, he could have fucking really made some waves if he just would have got a shot in Ring of Honor, a shot in Evolve, something. But I'm definitely not going to complain about some Rock and Roll Express.
And we got a rare combination of the Midnight Express that you don't normally see on the indies with Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan Lane. And I believe this is Sweet Stan's last match, or what ended up becoming his last match. I could be wrong.
I'm going to say Stan doesn't look like he's in too bad a shape right here.
Oh, no. Actually, you see him
Whoa, nice enziguri from Robert.
Oh, yeah. And you see Stan at, he makes convention appearances every once in a while, and he still looks in pretty good shape.
When I think of Stan Lane, I just, I'm kind of, since it was brought up a few months ago.
Wait,
is that Mike? Who is that guy? That's not Michael. Michael Bakikio for the,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
For all the other high spots, virtual gimmick table and, owners gimmick table people that are checking this out, welcome.
I first thought that was Tracy Myers, but...
Tracy Myers, okay. Well, I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're out in the ass right there.
With the knockoff Jim Cornette.
The knockoff Jim Cornette just for it's reminding me. Did you watch the Southpaw Regional Wrestling series on YouTube?
I did not.
You need to do that.
Is this the one that WWE did?
Yes, it's great. Like it's well worth watching.
I'm sure it is. I was kind of turned off on the idea just because it felt like WWE making fun of it's not something we came up, or we're making fun of something that we didn't come up with, or with style and history that we didn't come up with, so therefore that means it's bad.
Well, there's no wrestling on it.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. They are making fun of a lot of the quirkiness of old school wrestling, but it's kind of like it's not. They're making. I'm trying to think like how to say it. Like they're making fun of it, but it's like they're making fun of it in a good way.
No, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's good. I just and I'll probably watch it eventually. I just remember it had a very like winners write history vibe to it. You know what I mean?
It was more so just kind of like let me put it to you this way: like, it would not have surprised me if, like, at the time, like, if I could have seen like Colt Cabana and Mari DeRosa doing this.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
gotcha.
mean? Because like
Yeah.
they were kind of making fun of the wrestling business with their creative has nothing for you sort
Yeah.
of. It's kind of like that with old school wrestling, and it's kind of, and I feel like all the wrestlers do like a really good job.
Okay.
It's kind of like it's the
Oh,
way I kind of see it's like if WWE found the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer interview, and they're like,
Yep.
we can fuck with this, and that's
uh,
even referenced in the whole thing.
wait, did you ever watch Talking Shop Mania?
I have not yet.
Okay. Maybe that could be something on here.
Yes, but so you can't really watch Southpaw because there's a lot more paying attention to the words that we got to do. But yeah, I cannot recommend Southpaw Regional Wrestling enough. There was one scene in it with Luke Gallows as Tex Ferguson. He brings that character into Southpaw.
Yeah.
Where he makes a comment where like I almost died of laughter. I was laughing so hard like I fell out of my chair and I started rolling on the ground with this line.
Also, I mean, this is pretty good, or this is fine, but is it just me, or is somehow 2020 Rock and Roll Express better than 2008 Rock and Roll Express?
I think they're all in better shape. At least the rock and rolls are in better shape.
Yeah.
I just recently
Well,
last year before COVID and a whole bunch of bullshit happened, saw rock and roll at Glory Pro Wrestling, which we'll be getting to them eventually with some of their stuff they have here on the High Spots Network. But they weren't doing ridiculous stuff, but Ricky Morton could still take a bump to the outside of the ring if he needed to, and they wrestled the besties in the world, which were I guess now the final Evolve Tag Team Champions. Still really selling that lower back and ass injury. So good on you, Sweet Stan.
Yeah.
And now I can't look at Bobby Eaton without thinking of Arn Anderson's impression of him from the podcast. This is really. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, yes, the now at the time of this recording, rock and roll is better than this, but these guys are busting their ass a lot more than I'm used to with with legend matches at Independence,
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm not even saying this is bad, but I just think it's like crazy to see how well they move today. You know what I mean?
Which could lead into a segue about DDP Yoga, possibly, or. But yeah, I think they're both in better shape. I mean, I'm not body shaming, but Robert looks significantly in better shape now than he did then. There was a point in time, because I remember when I first started listening to WrestleCrap Radio, I think Ricky Morton was in jail for missed child support payments.
I remember that, yeah.
And there was a website called helprickymorton.com where you could donate to get Ricky Morton out of jail.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not making fun of Ricky Morton going to jail or the fact that he was, maybe in a rough spot in life and felt the only help he could get was through the wrestling fans. I'm not bashing that at all, but I remember this as someone who didn't have regular. Oh no, what's he got? Oh no, it's Bobby!
Also, you know that...
Oh god! Fuck yeah, bad camera angle, but they still pulled it off. Hell yeah! That was actually pretty damn good, I'm not gonna lie. A cynic could shit on it, but someone who actually just wants to enjoy wrestling would appreciate that match. But, I'd never really I'd heard of the Rock and Roll Express. I'd played as them on Legends of Wrestling, but is this what we think it is? This is, yes.
Man Scout and Richie Steamboat.
It's kind of half-ass recognize Jake there, but...
Yeah, this is pre the singlet, and though he was doing this, this was during the Man Scout gimmick though.
Okay. Scout's honor. But like I'd never really seen the Rock and Roll Express other than playing as him on Legends of Wrestling, and I didn't. Maybe they had a few extra matches on some DVDs I owned in 2005. So my first time of ever really hearing about Ricky Morton is the WrestleCrap guy saying he's in jail, and you can go to this website to donate to get him out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm happy since then.
Yeah.
I've been able to watch more and appreciate how good the Rock and Roll Express were and still are.
And I think his son's actually in the business or getting in the business. Ooh, nice.
Well, I mean, he can move like his dad, Richie can. Oh no!
Actually, at the conventions they have here, there was a year, like 2 or 3 year period where like every year there'd be some kind of match that involved a combination of Ricky Morton and Bobby Fulton from the Fantastics, and it came like an unofficial tradition every year that they'd bring their sons and they would both be like in the business, or like they're both training like with their dad.
Right.
And they're both like early teens, something like that. But like it kind of like became an unofficial tradition that like after the show, like the sons would get in the ring, like these kids, and would have like a really good match with each other. Or like father sons tag team match. Or at one point, like Bobby Fulton just had a match with his son after the show in the ring.
Well, I remember Richie would get signed to developmental not long after this show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
I am going to say this about Jake. He is an underrated talent.
He is very much so.
Especially now, like a lot of people are probably just gonna think of him as funny old man Scout, or the guy that's gonna beautiful arm drag. He's a steamboat after that one.
I think it's so interesting that during this time, George South had school, like had these classes, and these classes had Reed Flair, Richie Steamboat, Dylan Eaton, and pretty much Steamboat and Flair would come by regularly around this time to help with the classes. So it's like these students that a lot of them aren't even in the business anymore, aren't even wrestling anymore. They like, I just know them around here. They're friends like of mine. And they'll just tell me stories of just, oh yeah, I went to class one day and there's Flair and Steamboat and they're like locking up with us and like running drills and everything. And apparently, I guess at one point during training, Flair pulled out like $100 bill and said he would give it to whoever can bump the highest.
And then, no, I'm not going to make that. Yes, I am, because Ric Flair's doing better now. And then probably 2 months later, he's trying to track that kid down, going, hey, I need that $100 back. Yeah. Taxman's coming.
I just think it's interesting for like people to be like, oh, I never did anything in the business, but I got to lock up with Flair and Steamboat.
Oh, yeah. This isn't quite as interesting as that, but I remember Glory Pro, same promotion, they booked Steamboat for a signing and a seminar and last summer. Like this is 2020 when we're recording this, so summer of 2019. And to me, like I went to meet Steamboat, great guy. Can't act like Steamboat's one of the coolest people in the world. But I remember seeing him with a can of Skull by him, and I remember just kind of somewhat, like, my image of Ricky Steamboat was somewhat tainted, knowing that he chewed tobacco. Now, I'm not a prude.
Yeah.
I indulged in the dirty habit of chewing tobacco for the longest time, but to me, thinking of clean-cut Ricky Steamboat,
exactly.
chewing tobacco, I'm like, no, No, Ricky, you're not supposed to do that.
Or
I
I'm sure
said
you've
as
seen
I
the.
said as I probably put a dip a skull in my mouth during the course of that show.
But no, I'm sure you saw the Flair shoot interview where he
Oh
spent like
God, yeah.
the first 3 hours of it with just like the dip.
Spit. 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 I
Like,
remember
jeez.
Sammy Callahan even said, like, he started chewing because Ric Flair chewed. Like, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels have encouraged so many young wrestlers to start dipping. Because I remember mentioning this on the All In episode, because I was still regularly participating in that bad habit when I met Trent Beretta at StarCast, and I remember saying, like, hey, I'm glad people like you also chew, because makes all of us that chew not look like a bunch of backwoods rednecks. Like, people that are actually cleanly people chew too. And he, like, told me the story of, like, yeah, I remember being at TV one day and we were running drills for ECW and Sean was there. And he was helping coach the drills and he was watching. And he had a big fat dip in his mouth. He was watching us run our drills and he had his feet, had his feet up on the announce desk because he was watching it as he spit in his fucking cup. And he's like, Sean just looks so cool, and I realized I gotta start chewing. That's not verbatim. That's the very, like, that's pretty well the story was Sean looked cool while we were doing this. He was chewing. I'm like, I have to start chewing because Sean looks that fucking cool. And if you on this same app watch the best friends, what is the full Poppin' Dogs and Talking Hogs, I believe, is the full name of it. You will see Trent Beretta, or Trent question mark, with tobacco in his mouth as he's doing these interviews. And this is
I was hoping for an Aloha Jake there.
Aloha Jake. Given riding the coattails of a significantly more successful YouTube channel.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love like the burst of intensity in this match.
I'd say it's probably one of the best matches so far.
Oh yeah, like
I maybe I like it as much as the George South. I mean, we kind of there was a lot of the George South match we were kind of laughing at, but really was a damn good match. I'd say this is probably the match of the night so far. I'd go that far.
And it's like the little things they're doing, but they're putting it with like so much energy into it.
Mm-hmm. And Jake's just great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's wrestling's a weird business, where like so many talented people just wrong place, wrong time, don't get their chance to shine. And I don't want to say that's the case with Man Scout, but because I don't want to speak for someone's career, but I kind of feel like if Man Scout would have had like maybe one more good chance to shine on a better level, he maybe would have got a little bit, would have been a little more nationwide other than just the high spot stuff. Not that him doing the high spot stuff.
Or I feel like if he was coming out today with the gimmick, like kind of like in Warhorse's position now, you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, speaking of Warhorse, whenever we decide to upload this, I know he was just on AEW. That was made me a very proud man to see Warhorse on AEW TV. That was really happy to. From all the St. Louis Anarchy and Glory Pro shows, seeing Warhorse out, that was really, really cool. But yeah, if he was like doing something like that, he'd have like a cult following right now. And
hell, more of one than he has now, since he does have a fan base.
He has a fan base now, but I think it's a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think he's a great talent. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of his fan base now, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I just kind of from the outside looking in, the fan base is they know he's a great person who works his ass off for high spots.
Ooh.
Jesus, yeah, that was bad.
I was like, was that a receipt right there or something?
Still, we're Man Scout on the attack.
Yeah. It's one of those I'm having a hard time
people-
paying attention just because this is a good match.
Yes, it is. But a lot of people, especially those of us that follow high spots, but even before the gimmick table, know how hard Jake works for that company. Know how hard Jake works, period. I know he has a 3 crossbody and a win. Great match of the night so far, definitely.
Oh yeah.
How talented he is in the ring. He can do a great match like this, or he can be funny like he was my first time seeing Jake wrestle in person at the WrestleCon Super Show with the Revolt versus Liger, Waltman, and Hurricane.
Yeah.
So all of that hard work on top of the fact that he's just a genuinely awesome person that deserves every good thing that comes to him.
I feel bad for them for Jake that someone involved in that match like vetoed doing the Liger tent spot, because I feel like if that happened WrestleMania weekend, that would have been one of the things that went viral.
Oh yeah. So now we're coming to the main event. There we see Reed Flair, we see the Nasty Boys, we see Hulk Hogan.
They cut the entrances, which I just feel is weird.
Right, that is weird. Like, you don't want to have a video of Real American and Hulk Hogan coming to the ring and...
Yeah, but it's like, this wasn't released commercially anywhere, just like on maybe somebody's gimmick table.
Right.
So I don't really think they would have faced too much legal issues.
So I guess this is a bad time to mention that the Nasty Boys may be one of my least favorite tag teams of all time.
Oh, same here.
I cannot fucking stand them.
Oh no, they are pieces of fucking shit. Like, personally.
There's Rick. Like, I think I was kind of indifferent to the Nasty Boys, but I remember when they debuted with TNA in the Hogan era, I'm like, fuck them, fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck each and every one of them.
Oh no, actually around the same time, at these conventions, like they would show up, they would be really douchey.
I feel like you got a story.
Well, let's see. Oh yeah, he Knobs was like blaster drunk, like at the lobby, and he was threatening to kick my ass because I got a photo, like of him drunk, and I'm like, you really think you're that big a star that you're gonna be that the paparazzi is gonna ruin your life like that?
Wow, that's... I've yet to have like that bad of like a truly awful experience with a wrestler. Now I've had bad experiences with like wrestling promoters or convention promoters, but I'm very blessed to say in all my times of going to wrestling shows or conventions, I've yet to have like a truly... With the wrestler themselves. I mean, I did a whole episode ranting on StarCast, so... But I've yet to have like that, this guy's a prick moment. There's been wrestlers that have seemed not very outgoing, or ones that I feel have kayfabed me. Larry Sweeney kayfabed me a little bit. Robert Roode kayfabed me.
Did you see that?
The
just
fuck?
like that, just that kick to his head or to his face.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a bit fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, we're gonna see a lot of that, aren't we?
And again, not trying to body... There's a fat splash. Not trying to body shame. I wasn't even gonna body... I was even gonna talk about the other guy's physique, not fucking fat ass knobs, but if there's any Nasty Boy fans that listen to this, you might want to turn the podcast off. But I remember at the time, because I mean, there's David, and I remember at the time, this was when Rick retired. And they had David in the front row of WrestleMania in the Hall of Fame, and then David was also got interviewed for the Ric Flair DVD that they did.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Ric Flair, and again, things happen. You know, I can't speak for what David Flair was going through or how he was getting booked or whatever, but I remember just kind of seeing David Flair and going, "Who the fuck ate David Flair?" Now, I've let my, mental health eating get the better of me, and I'm not the svelte young lad that I was, in 2015. But I remember just kind of thinking, like, I think he still wrestles. Who the fuck ate David Flair?
I will say, you see him like around shows here a lot, just in the crowd, just because his kids are into it, so he brings them. He's a really nice guy. He seems like he has no bitterness or hard feelings about how things went. And just seems like a generally cool dude.
That's kind of my thing. Was like, I know David Flair has kind of become the punchline for nepotism in wrestling, and I feel bad doing that because David does seem like a really nice guy, and David never asked to be given too much too soon.
Yeah.
David didn't ask to fucking be in the ring with Hulk Hogan in his first match. David didn't ask for half the shit that went on, but David got it because he was a Flair. It is weird seeing, unless there's a swerve here that I don't know about. It's weird seeing Hulk Hogan be on the side of the Flair family.
I don't even think he's intentionally trying it, but it's just because he's Hulk Hogan. It's like the second he does anything, it just everything, like the attention immediately goes to him. You know what I mean?
He maybe isn't intentionally doing it now, but you and I both know he's intentionally done it several other times in his career. But
oh no, I mean, yeah, obviously, but I'm sure I'm like this time he doesn't even need to bother. But I think
that is the worst fucking Flair strut I've ever seen in my life.
also I think that was like the first shot we've had of Ric Flair.
Yeah, so he was earlier. I saw him a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But yeah. But yeah, that is that's the worst Flair strut ever, but it was done by the Nasty Boys, so it makes sense for it to be the worst ever.
I'll say a few years ago, I went to a show that the Nasty Boys run the card, and they have gotten so fat that their whole match was just like them brawling. Like they never got in the ring. It was them beating up like some jobbers outside, pretty much going around the ring while the opponent's juiced, and like the pinfall wasn't even the ring. They've gotten like Abdullah the Butcher fat, where they just gotta like
Oh wow.
juice and brawl.
And and I'm not. We're only talking shit on them because it's the Nasty Boys. Like
Yeah,
I remember, not long after All In, maybe a couple months after All In, Glory Pro ran a show at. There we go with Hulk. There's another fucking. Oh, you shit! There's Hogan.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That had to be cool to see if you're in the arena. But I know they had the top heel stable at the time, the top heel stable in Glory Pro, No New Friends, versus the quote unquote NWO, which was.
Oh my! I'm sorry. That attempt to do like, I don't know if that you don't call it a kip up, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like, and I think they got sagged like a foot off the ground.
I'm going to say this. I'm not going to make fun of David Flair anymore because I'm really rocking the David Flair body right now. Like, my buys and tries are okay, and, my chest is passable, but the gut is there, and the gut is real.
And it's like, I'm not trying to check out David Flair's ass, but I'm trying to figure out what is like that's supposed to be like on his gear. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
not that Not that there's anything wrong with this, but as Tommy Dreamer says, it's not gay. It's pro wrestling.
I'm like, looks like, is that a jack-o'-lantern? I have no idea, but just it's.
Hogan was very out of position there.
You can tell this is the first refereeing gig.
And you should definitely hunt down the George South virtual gimmick table episode on this network or the Facebook page of High Spots to hear a story about this match, because Jake Manning and George South tell it better than we ever could.
And I will say, I mean, there's all these different, there's all these stories about Hulk Hogan. We kind of know a lot of bad about him, and not taking away from that, but it's endearing to hear like.
But he is a nice guy.
Yeah, that there are like positive moments with other wrestlers, especially like lower people that he doesn't need to go out of his way for.
Well, it's like even Bobby Heenan was like, for all the people that Hulk Hogan, and he'll tell you, that's one of the things, like, I don't like Hogan, but oh fuck, what the fuck was that? Fucking knobs? Jesus Christ.
I'm like, if this is going to get any worse, Flair's just going to throw Knobs' Zenzu bean.
Oh, but what the fuck was that chair shot? Like, maybe I'm getting worked, but maybe not.
No, that seemed pretty hard. Like,
oh God. Is he
gross.
bleeding? Is he bleeding? He's probably getting
I don't
ready
think
to.
he's bleeding.
He's probably getting ready to blade because he's a fucking Flair. But, like, Bobby Heenan would say, like, Hulk Hogan had his own dressing room, but, like, Hulk was cool and would let underneath guys dress in his dressing room because he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, would say stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
shit.
And then you'd hear, like, like, oh, that's nice. And then you'd hear, like, stories of, like, yeah, I was supposed to have this storyline, and I was supposed to get this run, but Hulk said that don't work for me, and I didn't get it. And then the one thing I respect about Hulk Hogan is at least Hulk Hogan will tell you straight up, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
Because it's a cutthroat business and I took care of myself. So while as shitty as that is, I respect him for at least not going like, well, some people have and some people don't. And, maybe if Jake the Snake would have stepped up a little bit, it would have happened. Or maybe if Ravishing Rick Rude would have stepped up a little bit, he would have got that run. Hulk Hogan will be the first to say, no, I fucking said no because they would have got more over than me, or they would have hindered my run, and I wasn't about to have that. Wrestling, you take care of yourself in pro wrestling, and they weren't going to take care of me, so I shut it down because I could. It's like, well, at least cunt Hogan is honest about being a cunt.
At least he's a truthful cunt.
Yes. But yeah, definitely listen to the story of like how nice of a guy Hulk Hogan was to work with in this story, especially for unknown indie guys at the time like Man Scout. Here we go. I'm finally listening to Jimmy Hart's fucking megaphone. God, that must be annoying in person. Like, if you're at an indie show listening to the megaphone, that's gotta be annoying. Like, if you were at a WWF event in 1990 and there's a big crowd, you could probably tolerate not hearing much off the megaphone. But in an arena like this, that would get annoying very quickly. Like, that's like Bill Alfonso whistle annoying.
Oh, God. Actually, I assumed that Alfonso would have to be worse with that whistle. At least,
yeah, you're probably right, because I remember, like, there's so many times I've had to watch matches from the network with Rob Van Dam on mute, because I'm like, fuck that fucking whistle. He's getting heat, you damn right he is. Not taking away from what we're seeing in the ring, but here's an interesting question to pose. What's the difference between getting heat or being legitimately, fuck this is annoying? Is there a difference?
I think the big difference is I mean, if I was like, fuck this is annoying, I would leave or turn it off or like, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I remember, going back to WrestleMania weekend. I have several different group chats for wrestling I'm a part of, and we all have passionate opinions, and we all have different hills that we think are appropriate to die on, each and every group. Um, and I remember, like, after Matt Taven won the Ring of Honor title at the Garden, and I remember saying, like, this is a stupid idea, this is dumb, this, that, and the other, like, what the fuck is the problem here? Why are you pushing this guy? I remember one of the chatters actually said, like, no, he's the best fucking choice for that title. You know why? Because you're mad. He's getting heat. And now you're pissed off and he's a heel and he's pissed you off. So that means he's the best fucking Ring of Honor. And the guy's not just fucking trolling me. He's being serious. That's why he's the best fucking Ring of Honor champion ever, because finally they didn't cater to the goddamn smart marks. They're finally getting some real fucking heat. Couple that the fact that Bully Ray said something similar on Busted Open, but it's neither here nor there. But it's kind of like also the thing. It's like, okay, he was getting some heat, but it's like, where does getting heat stop and fuck you, this sucks begin? Because I remember Stevie Ray saying something very similar about Jinder Mahal. Like, where does, I don't know, like, I give him credit. He was getting legitimate heat, but, like, how does one classify it's a wrong kind of heat?
But no, I guess as someone that was there when Taven won the belt as well.
Me too.
I think I feel like I have to go back and watch it, but my experience there, it wasn't like thunderous boos or rage. I felt like you felt a lot of air leaving the building. You know what I mean?
I know they did pan to the one guy in the shirt that said Madison Square Taven. Which is the stupidest idea for a shirt ever, because it's not even a pun. So it's like, what the fuck? Oh, what are you doing, buddy?
But yeah, I think it's just a matter of, is it boos or is it like audible groan? I think that's
Right.
where
Yeah,
if it's feet or fuck this.
Right, and it's, I don't know. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Matt Taven's not a bad guy. So, but like, Matt Taven being the champion to me was like the embodiment of, we don't know what we're doing without the elite.
Like, Matt Taven is Matt Taven. This isn't anything on his talent, but I think for Ring of Honor committee, it was just a matter of just read the fucking room.
Right, like, I'm not trying to put this guy over, especially in, like, with recent allegations, but it's like, at that point in time, Marty was the choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know in hindsight, maybe it was the right choice, but at that time, Marty was the choice. And they didn't do it because I guess they thought he was going to leave. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But,
so I feel like what's been going on in this match the last 5 minutes? I feel like it's just been a lot of, like...
a lot of beating up Reed Flair because he's Reed Flair.
No, but then I feel like it hasn't even been beating up. It's just been kind of like pushing his body around.
Right.
Like, I just felt like there was a bear hug spot and then just kind of like him flailing around a little bit.
You're not entirely wrong.
It's like the Nasties are so out of breath right now.
They are gassed.
But they are like, it's like we got like, how much more time? It's like we got like 5 minutes before we go home. So.
Oh God, what do we do? they're
so
kind of having a panic.
They gotta beach whale this shit.
Dizzy is here doing things he knows he's not supposed to be doing because I'm not giving him attention. So.
Hey, Dizzy.
Hello, buddy. So yeah, if you heard me kind of being distracted from the match, well. Dizzy not being the best boy was the one who taking me away from a Nasty Boys match.
The weirdest thing, I remember when this was announced too, like for your first match, it feels like, why would you pick the Nasty Boys?
I mean, I could. Now, Obviously, from my comments, you know I am the furthest thing from a Nasty Boys fan, but I will play devil's advocate a little bit. You know, he is a Flair. He is going to have a certain privilege in the wrestling business that a lot of others ain't going to have. I get it. You want to justify Hogan. You want to do...
Ooh.
The fuck?
Like, I'm sure that was a botch, but, like, all that weight was just on his back, right? Like, fell on his back there.
Right, yeah.
But no, but I mean, even if you're going to pull some strings for, like, for, like, a mainstream opponent for Reed, I feel like you could go for, like, more in the skilled veteran. You know what I mean?
Like, Rock and Roll probably would have been better. I know they wanted...
Rock and Roll, Bobby Eaton.
Yeah, Midnight's would have been good. God, who else was... Because at least the Nasty Boys are doing a little bit of something right now. Like, don't pick the fucking Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's another thing I'll say. Like, at least these guys are taking some bumps.
Yeah, that's true.
Did David just do the fucking Dusty? He did.
I was gonna say Dustin probably would have been a good choice, but I'm like,
He
may have
was
been
in
Black
WWE
Rain.
at that time.
Okay, I was like WWE.
But Black Rain or
Black
WWE,
Rain.
yeah. Doon, 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 doon. But I will. Real story about Black Rain. I was pissed off that he debuted as Black Rain 2 months after lockdown in St. Louis, because that means he was not at the TNA Fan Fest, and I could have met Dustin there. I've still to this day not met Dustin, and I'm...
Well, in your defense, you're probably better off meeting him now, since
right, but
he would have been buzzed off his tits at the TNA lockdown.
because I heard he was at fucking one of them that they had there during that time period. What did he? Oh, okay. It looked like he hit him with something, but it wasn't. It was just an axe handle. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's just almost done. Because, like, I'm getting a little tired of the Nasty Boys right now.
Yeah, I'm like, this feels like the longest Nasty Boy match I've ever seen.
Like, hatred of the Nasty Boys aside, like, I'll give them credit for, like, maybe trying to do a little bit more than just, again, honky tonk man some shit. We gotta get it. Yeah, here we go. I think we're closing in. Yep. And Reed can't quite... Reed cannot put it on... Oh, what the hell?
As he trips over David.
Now, Jimmy Hart, on the other hand, I would like to meet Jimmy Hart. Is he going to follow it up with a leg drop? Are we going to get an actual leg drop at a high school gym? Oh! Okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been marking out pretty hard if I was in the crowd.
I wish I'd been able to go to this show.
All right, the finish was kind of cool. I am not going to be a smart Mark cynic right now. Like, that was pretty.
I don't know why we had to go like get through a 30-minute Nasty Boys match for that moment, but yeah, I like that was a good finish.
You know, I'll say you cut about 10 minutes of the middle out. You have a great match. You have a great match for this crowd and for.
Oh yeah.
But why are you? Okay, that's bullshit. Fucking the Flair family wins and you play Hulk Hogan's WCW music. Really?
That That hot stuff, the hot dogging and grandstanding.
I mean, I guess at least, you can't say that they're leeching off the Flair family,
Yeah.
2001 Space Odyssey, but really? American made? Hey, Hulk, remember when I tased my dad so you could retain the title at Super Bowl? Remember that?
Okay, that was kind of funny. It seemed like David kind of hinted at doing the posing and stuff.
But I guess we're not going to get that.
And Hogan was just like, no, that's not going to work for me, brother. Maybe I'm not sure if he's like trying to keep it about them or if it's just like, no, I'm not getting paid enough to do the shtick.
Hogan only pose.
Hogan must pose.
Hogan must pose if you pay him an extra $10,000, brother. Oh, there we go. But he's got a shirt on though. Maybe he's not happy with his physique. That's a very another tangent here, but I remember watching a CM Punk shoot interview when he was with Ring of Honor, and he was talking about like this when he was trying out for WWE. He was talking about like all the weird things that WWE is about, and I remember him saying like in this day, this was 2005. Him saying like in this day and age in WWE, like Hogan would not get signed. They'd go get some abs, man. I can't deal with this gut. I can't deal with this strongman body. You gotta be cut. That's one thing. Hogan, as big as he was, he didn't have the cut physique. He had like the strongman physique.
Yeah, they would like consider him like, I don't want to say fat, but like.
Now here's the question. And if anybody ever listens to this who was at this show, let us know in the comment section below. Did Hogan do a meet and greet this day, or was he just there to referee, and that's all he was fucking paid to do, brother?
He didn't do an official meet and greet, but, like, if you saw, like, he was, like, since it's a high school gym, it's kind of hard to hide. So, like, if you saw him, he would, like, take a photo or sign something.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't hard to, like, get him.
Well, you've actually met, if I'm not mistaken... You've met Hogan, haven't you?
Yes.
Oh, are we going to see the story?
No.
Maybe not. Okay, that's getting awkward. And that's the end of the... That was a fun show. Okay, I'm not going to...
And I'm going to leave... my Hogan story for later, because I'm not even sure if I told you the whole details about it.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger. Yeah, for, I guess, whenever we find another, like, an appropriate show to put that on.
Or we just get a tangent and like, remember Hulk Hogan? I got a story.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's more than likely the case.
Yes. Well, and there it is. Charlie Dreamer right there. How about that? Well... Thank you guys for having a listen to this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you've also subscribed to the High Spots video network, best $9.99 in the biz. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content. Not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comics, anime, gaming, and all things geeky. Find me on social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeek89, Twitter @athletic_geek89, and Instagram @athleticgeek89, and Charloco.
If you have any weird, hateful things to say to me, you're more than welcome to take them to Geek, and he can report them to me.
Yeah.
But this is fun.
We're doing this again.
I would love to go through the weird, obscure, and unknown in this High Spots library.
Or and I'll throw this out to anybody else, if you do have the High Spots video network, and there is a show, be it good, bad, obscure, popular, best show ever that's on this thing, let us know, and we will do the watch-along. We are open to anything. We will do TPI 2004 if someone wants us to. But I don't know what we'll say other than, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. This is
The
great.
only thing I'd say probably not do is I'd say like the $5 wrestlings or the things that are already, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we won't be doing $5 wrestling.
Yeah, or anything that's already kind of like they're already kind of making jokes on.
But yeah, we'll do. If you got a suggestion and it's on the High Spots Network, or even though we don't really want to do these ones, if it's on the WWE Network, let us know and we'll do it. We'll review it. We are here to please. But thank you for having a listen, and have a good one.
See you then.